Hey guys, Dr. Heather here. I wrote another blog post today, and it's one of many that I have in my mind coming down the pike. Just sharing my concerns about how we're missing the big picture when we are doing anything and everything in our power to stop COVID, but letting so many other health issues or potential health issues, both physically and mentally, just completely go unnoticed, like they don't matter. So I've got a lot going on in my brain, and I'm trying to write some out for you guys. And I'm just going to read this one to you today. All right. So this might feel like deja vu, but I'm going to write it anyway. Do you remember when Dr. Marley and I were doing our 31 tips to a healthy host? And tip 31 was simply to ask better questions. Well, it's been almost an entire month since that post now, and collectively as a community, we don't seem to be making much headway on this topic. So let me explain what I mean. I've been in communication with our local county health officer over the past couple days, and I realized that we are communicating from two very different angles. The only concern our public health officers have is whether the mandatory masks are slowing the spread of the virus. That's it. Their question is, do masks work? Their answer is yes. It seems like our health officer does know the importance of keeping kids in the classroom, which I appreciate because I agree, but it almost seems like a threat. You want your kids to stay in the classroom? Well, then make sure their masks are on at all times, right? Yet I can't help but wonder how all of these local summer camps and daycare facilities have been operating this entire time without kids in masks and without outbreaks. And keep in mind, most of these places that stayed in operation had kids from essential workers, right? From families of nurses, doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, all of us who had to stay open to serve the public, and our kids were still going to these facilities, okay? Are those facilities immune to COVID? Are the employees and students not living life, spending time with their family and friends on the weekends, and then potentially could be bringing COVID back into their workplace? Or is it that maybe our kids would be fine and healthy in school without masks, just like they were all summer long? Would the death rate remain the same, no matter if we implemented masks in the classroom on the children or not? We'll never know. Do our county and state health officers study those cohorts at all? Are they aware that many of our kids have been attending these facilities for the past 6 months and they've remained healthy? But as soon as they step foot onto school grounds, yes, even the playground, hanging out with the same friends they hung out with all summer, now they must wear masks to stay healthy and keep schools open? We can all agree that wearing a cloth over our face is going to block spit particles from flying as far as if we didn't have one on, right? When we cough, we sneeze, we talk, we sing, we laugh. That cloth barrier is obviously stopping spit, but that seems elementary to me. You don't need a scientific background to understand that. The literature is aiming to prove that cloth masks work using solely that concept. So really there isn't anything left to argue if you choose to stop at that simple fact. But you guys know me. I like to ask better questions. I like to dig deeper. I like to find the cause of problems instead of staying surface level. So after accepting the obvious fact that masks block spit, I want to take it a step further. The first question is, why are we still trying to stop the spread when we know that is completely unattainable? We cannot and will not stop the spread of this virus ever. The second question is, how long are we aiming to slow the spread of the virus, and what is the trade-off? When will we get our health freedoms back? Is it when hospitals are well equipped and not overrun? Obviously not. When we finally have some data to study so that we know who's the most at-risk population, meaning we can take precautions to protect those individuals, but let the remainder of society continue to live their lives? Obviously not. When the vaccine hits the market and some arbitrary percentage of the population gets inoculated, is that what we're all being forced to wait for? I'm afraid, yes, that's the answer. The third question, does long-term mask usage, especially on the pediatric population in the classrooms, have any potential physical and or mental health consequences? In other words, is there a chance that we can be making ourselves more prone to illnesses and mental health struggles because of the mask requirements? The research suggests so, but no one seems to care about that research anymore. Now that we have studies showing that cloth masks stop spit from flying, everything else goes out the window. And my final question for now, what will be the long-term consequences of over-sanitizing? I'm talking about the excessive use of heavy-duty, toxic hand sanitizer and harsh chemical cleaning products. Will we be seeing an increase in cancer down the road, more gut issues, chemical toxicity, decreased immune function? Like I said, what is the trade-off? The other thing that was brought to my attention while speaking to our county health officer is that the government officials really have no clue what is actually going on inside of our local schools. He was under the impression that children are not wearing masks all day. He told me they can take their masks off when they're 6 feet of distance, and he was thinking that most schools were somehow equipped for that spacing. When I informed him of the reality of what our kids are going through in schools, I was told that's not a county health problem, but a school district problem. So here we are again, back at square one. Another thing that really bothers me, coming straight from the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle article this past week, is the statement, in quotation, masks for the time being are the next best thing to actually having a vaccine. Really? What is the first best thing? I think we've completely botched the hierarchy of getting through this disease by leaving out a teensy-weensy detail called a properly functioning immune system. Why doesn't the public health department actually promote health? Why does the vaccine take top notch? I think we should be saying, hey, if you're under the age of 70 and you have no pre-existing comorbidities, you shouldn't be worrying hardly at all. Why can't we promote health and hope rather than fear? I think we should stop worshiping a rushed, man-made vaccine that hasn't even passed rigorous safety trials over our powerful, God-given immune systems. To sum it up, I truly believe the way that we as a society have chosen to respond to COVID-19 will not go without long-term consequences, both economically and physically. There are two sides to this coin, you guys. One side is promoting health, vitality, and hope. And the other side is preaching fear, weakness, and hopelessness. Which side do you support? We're almost 7 months into this pandemic with no real end in sight, and we choose to stay on the side of promoting health. Cheers to those of you who've joined us.